All right, we're live. We're excited to kick off the day with you guys and celebrate the win of the first Karura Parachain, or the first Kusama Parachain slot auction. That with all of your support and everyone around the world, we were able to win the first auction and begin launching our network. And when we play the song jokingly that we are the champions, of course that includes everyone. There was around, I think, over 15,000, maybe even 20,000, including people who contributed not on chain. So we can't thank everyone enough for the support. It's been pretty incredible to watch over the last couple of weeks. So today we're going to walk you through a lot of the kind of statistics around the auction and just kind of celebrate with everyone here. And then Ruita will show you a little bit around how to begin claiming KAR, what that website looks like, show you a little preview around what the Karura apps will look like when things go live. And then he'll walk you through the roadmap, because I know a lot of you here have questions around when is the DEX launching, when will the token be distributed, things like that. So we'll show you what that rollout plan looks like. And then I'll get into the Acala Treasury. We'll kind of switch topics and talk a little bit about the Acala Treasury. And then Betty will talk about another event that's coming up soon called Build Acala, Ready the Treasury. So for people who don't know the team here, maybe Betty and Rita, if you guys could introduce yourselves, and then we can get into everything here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Rita, one of the co-founders of Acala. I've been building this for 2 years, and for the first time, I can say that, yeah, we produced the very first live Parachain block last night. We are in New Zealand, so it's early morning for us. I'm so happy to meet everyone. Thanks for all the support that you contributed in the crowd launch, and this is the beginning of a Parachain.
Yeah. Welcome everyone. So good to see so many of you here. It's morning for us, but it's probably evening for you guys, or midday, or probably some of you is midnight. So So hi guys. Again, this is Betty, also co-founder of Acala. I've seen many of you around from the previous crowdcast and elsewhere in the community. So yeah, super excited. And as I said, this is only step 0. There's actually a lot of work ahead of us that requires all of us to work together, because now we are all family, like very officially. So we're going to review some of the plans today, so you know what's coming ahead of you, and also how to sort of get more involved. So.
Awesome. So Ruta, do you want to share your screen and get into it?
Yeah, definitely. Let me share my screen.
Cool.
It's coming up. Okay.
Got it.
So everyone can see my screen. Everyone can see my. Okay, great. So the very first slides, I think we did a small celebration that the Karura Parachain auction is the very first Parachain auction is concluded, and we are the winner. And well, Dan already played the music, but this is one small celebration for the team. We actually had late night last night. We have an internal tiny celebration already, but still there's a ton of stuff for us to do ahead after the Genesis, right? So I'm gonna walk through like the auction stats, the launch rollout plan, and there's also some website for you to check your distribution, and then share more about like what's actually coming up. How do we enable the network one by one? So the Karura is live. So I'm actually going to show this Polkadot.js front end. So all this block being produced is a heartbeat from Karura. And this is a real Parachain block produced on Kusama. So this is awesome, and it's been running smoothly in the past few hours after the Genesis. Well, all the features still disabled. We are doing the technical verification. We'll make sure that everything works. But for now, it looks the network is very healthy and producing block. The actual Genesis, it was actually smoothly, like what I say, it's very smooth. So we have collated running, and then once the auction concluded, we'll be promoted into Parachain, and then the very first block produced just as as they designed. The very first spirit block is being produced on the Explorer that we can see. So that's one small celebration. Now the very first live.
But Rita, is it fair to say that chaos is also expected? Anything could happen at this point, right? Things could go wrong. But we've got a good team and also working very closely with Parity guys. And also we can upgrade and fix stuff. So no one knows what happened next block. I think that's the most exciting thing.
So I think but the thing is that it is live and it is proceeding to block. So one small step. The next about giving the stats. We'd like to talk about like the auctions concluded. We'd like to share like the numbers of the auctions, giving some insights, some details. We're actually working on some more deep level analysis on what actually the distribution looks like, how many well participated. But this is just some rough number to give out. So over 500,000 KSM contributed in our crowd loan, and just to make sure all contribution to the crowd loan will be rewarded with KAR tokens. The actual auction was cut off in a randomly chose block, but the actual, if you made it to the crowd loan, you will be eligible for distribution. So over 500,000 KSM contributed to the crowd loan. There's over 14,000 on-chain accounts. And by the mean of talking about on-chain accounts, it's more of like people can contribute directly to the crowd loan by using Polkadot.js in a trustless way, going through our crowd loan websites or going through Polkadot.js. Those are the on-chain contribution. We also been working with exchanges such as Kraken, OKEX, Huobi, and you can also contribute in a centralized way. So the on-chain account does not represent all the participants, right? So the exchanges might contribute in one huge single account. And if we did the numbers, we have a raw figure that over 20,000 participants combined in a trustless setup and in a centralized exchange. It's over 20,000 participants contributed to the crowd loan. This is an awesome number to hit. It's almost 10% of the Kusama token holder account if I check the subscanned account number for Kusama. And it also means that we're able to launch the Karura network with a very engaged community, over 20,000 of those. And one huge surprise that we didn't plan for is that we think maybe half the contribution will be coming through centralized exchange, or maybe majority of the contribution will be coming from centralized exchange. But it turned out to be actually not the case. I think majority, we haven't finalized the number yet, but I think over 80% of the contribution were actually coming from trustless contribution. That means they're coming from Polkadot.js, they're coming from the end users themselves. And this is exactly the figure we like to see. Like by having the Polkadot.js extension, the participant, they can already participate in all the decentralized trading on Karura once it's live. So that's one thing that we didn't expect. And now with the distribution, it's always the plan that we talk about that there's 10% of the KR token gonna distribute it in the very first year of the Parachain auction. And now we have the number of KSM contributed. So we can already roughly work out there will be 19 plus KAR per contribution, per one KSM contribution. We're doing the audit, but this is the rough number that you will get without bonus. And with bonuses, you might get slightly larger, slightly more KAR. And I think this is a happy spot for us to look at, right? So when we did the very first auction, when we did the very first presentation about going through the auction, no one knows how the auction will land up. No one knows how much KSM we need. So we always say that we promise 12 plus. And now with the number, we're actually able to say that, oh, wow, it's like 19 plus. So everyone gets slightly more distribution. And we also have a I think we have a very even distribution as well. There's not a lot of wells once we have the final analysis coming up. So those are the numbers that we can share after a few hours of the auction conclusion. So the next slide, the Karura app sneak preview. So we actually give the Karura app an facelift. So this is a sneak preview, and this is coming maybe within today, or maybe with the next one day or two. It is we're doing extensive testing on that, and this is the interface that you will be using to interact with the Karura network. We give it a dark theme from the beginning by default. I think it fits better with the Kusama's brand identity, and it looks super cool. The other website that we are going to it's already live right now. The other website is very helpful for participants to check distribution amounts. We also have it's actually a distribution checking website. And just to make it very clear, you can check your distribution for the Karura token and ACH token to this website. And we are still working progress of like getting the crowd loan contribution into this website. So if you participate in the build number one, the previous build event, or if you participate in the previous campaign, you have some airdrop, this is the website for you to go to and check your distribution. So I'm actually going to do a demo of this website right now to show how it works. So this is the website. I can just simply type in my account address to find out my distribution. And you can see that we already added the previous campaign, the festival, the airdrop portion to that. We added the build Acala number one portion to that. We are working on the crowd launch, and it should be live very soon. And once it's updated, you can also check your distribution for the crowd launch contribution. And obviously later on, there's the Acala crowd launch and there's other events. So you can type in your address, and one of the best thing about this website is that any type of address, as long as it's a substrate address, any form of the address will work. So if you're typing a Kusama address, it will work. If you're typing a Polkadot address, if you are participating in build one, it will work. If you have a Karura address, it will work as well. So I have a number of addresses I can show how the distribution website looks like. So I'm going to type in a Polkadot address, and I'm press check. And then you can see that I have a build Acala one number one distribution to be distributed. And this is the number of token that I supposed to receive once the distribution is happening on the Karura network. I can also check, so for this one, this address likely participate in the build events. The other address I can also check is by typing a Kusama address. And in this Kusama address, you can see that I have some airdrop, 1 KAR. It's coming from the season 4 part 2 of the prize giving. It actually tells you like where the airdrop comes from. And it's going to be distributed. And if you scroll down, you can also see, oh, well, I have NFT. I have an overfund NFT because I participated in the depth testing, like in the very early stage. So I have an overfund NFT. So this is where you can check your distribution. You can also check your NFT. And I'm going to find another final address. So this is a Karura address, right? It looks slightly different, but they are all Polkadot addresses. So I'm going to check on that. In this address, I have one airdrop KR token. Well, I have one as well. And then, and I also have an NFT. So there's all these address, any form of amount, any kind of amount, any kind of address you can check in, you can put into, you can check using this website. And you can switch between the Acala and Karura. So in this address, I also have some airdrop from the ACA events that I participated before. Well, this is actually not my address, but someone did, right? So this is the best place for you to check. And we are going to turn on the crowd loan parts once we did the auditing very, very soon. And you can also check your crowd loan contribution and distribution amount. So this is pretty much like one link to go to where we can also share this link to check your distribution. We'll be constantly updating this address for you can know how much you'll be getting. Okay.
Just to add one thing, so people might be confused about what these like airdrops were. Mm-hmm. The Acala team has been working on getting the testnet tested out for literally years. So there were people who were helping out on the testnet even a couple years ago, last year. So some of you on the call may be a little bit newer to the community. So those things have already happened. The Build Acala event was the first of 2 events where people are basically contributing dots to the Acala Treasury. So those are the 2 things that Ruital mentioned. And just to reiterate, the crowd loan portion of this for the Karura crowd loan isn't up on this site quite yet, but it will be probably in the next few days as we finish the auditing and stuff. And as soon as that's ready, we'll be sending out messages. So just follow our channels and we'll let you know when it's ready for you to check this out.
Yes. So that's the distribution website. The next slides I wanted to go through is the actual launch process, the Karura Network Genesis looks like. So this is also a live website that we are being sharing. So it's the actual Karura roadmap. I'm going to go to their website, and you can see they will turn on all these blocks one by one. So we have a number of phase approach to launch these networks, right? So Karura itself is a specialized network. It has a lot of built-in functionality, and it is also a substrate-based network. So it means we can also upgrade the network. We can give it ultimately like the seamless upgrade experience. So to make sure everything checks right, we have this phase rollout plan, and we don't have a definitive set date of like when this phase will be executing, but it should be fairly soon. So maybe within weeks, we should see ourselves in phase 3. So I'm going to walk through all these blocks. So we are currently in the Genesis, right? It's already launched. We're in the Genesis status. We already finished the crowd launch. We also finished the Parachain auction, and we'll finalize the distribution adjacent event. So once we concluded, once we did the crowd launch auditing, once we concluded the amounts that everyone that all the crowd launch contribution with the bonus, all the amounts set up right, we will then do the finalization, and then we can start to see that we'll verify everything works, right? When we verify the runtime works, we're gonna make sure that there's the initial council member works. It's still in the POA phases. We're gonna enable the KSM transfer from Kusama to Karura, and then the other way from Karura to Kusama. So we'll make sure that we should test that to make sure everything works. And then we will start to distribute the KR token. By then, the KR token will be distributed to your wallet. And you can start to check your KR token real balance in the Karura app or in the blockchain itself. There's also a claim process. Like if you participate through the crowd launch directly in Polkadot.js, you might have to claim, and then you might have to agree to the term and services. So if you participate via changes, or if you participate through the Acala crowd launch website, you might not need to claim. But in case you participate directly in Polkadot.js, you might need to just tick some box and claim those. And then we will then enable the governance process to make sure everything works right in the POA phases. And then the election comes in, we will then remove the admin key, and then we will start to vote governance. We will start to call, or the community can start to passing a governance call to enable all the core modules one by one. So you can see there's a planned call to enable the DEX module. There's a planned call to enable the borrowing module. There's a planned call to enable the token transfer. And then there's a lot of plan. There's function that going to be enabled one by one as planned. And this will be a constant rollout of the network. I think most of the holder will be looking at the key events, such as when the DEX is opened and when the token transfer is opened. And we are planning that as a priority to make sure that once we check out everything is all right, we will then enable all those key features. And by then...
Hey, Rita.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in? I think there's there's questions around, I think governance might be new to a lot of people. So could you explain like what POA, proof of authority, means versus how that'll be different when we elect a council?
Okay, so in the POA phases, the network still has an admin key, where we call it sudo. So the network is still under one centralized control. There's still admin key. You can still do such as like a runtime upgrade without going through a vote. You can still do like enable functionality without going through the vote. And that's what we call a POA phases. That's how Polkadot launches as well. And that's like before the actual democracy, before the actual election of the council.
I just add one thing. So governance is separate from network security. So regardless how we organize the governance, which is progressive decentralization, the Karura's network security is provided by Kusama's nominated proof of stake. So that's totally and fully decentralized with 1,000 validators, right? So that's happened upon launch. So all the blocks that you're currently seeing being produced by Karura is being verified by Kusama validators. So that is probably one of the most important thing to actually be aware of is the Karura network security is already directly provided by Kusama. And as of how the protocol on top of the network is being governed, and then we are taking the phase that Rita is explaining, gradually decentralize everything along the way. So.
Yes, and then like in this phase 2, the network is still governed with an admin key. But on phase 3, if you actually look at how governance on Polkadot works, if you look at how governance on Karura or Acala works, we follow the simple pattern. So every token holder can propose and can ultimately propose a motion or a referendum or anything to change the network. And it's the built-in super nice feature about Polkadot, about substrate network, is that you ultimately has infinite upgradability. So in these phases, we will start to enable the referendum, the actual democracy from token holders, and then we will start to elect council members. Council member is just there to make sure everything is correct. You can think of much nicer way to delegate your vote to a set of people that you trust, right? So we will enable that. We'll also enable referendum from the token holder. So as long as you hold Karura network token, you can propose a referendum. So let's say that I would like to propose, hey, can we enable another bridge to another network? If there's a set discussion, if there's a solid roadmap plan, everyone can propose that. And then the network will be gradually given out to the hand of the token holders. So that's where we said the governed by council, the governed by the democracy works out. So we want to roll out this in a staged way. So initially, when the network is still in the early, let's say the early status of just being born, we will have some handholding, and then once we remove the pseudo, it's more like you are riding a bike with some training wheel, and we are removing that training wheel once we see, oh well, it's going to work. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the roadmap. So let's see. Okay, so Betty, would you like to share and start to talk about or is it Dan to take over?
I can jump in here and take over. So thanks, Ritao. And everyone else, I guess in the chat and in the question box, we will save time for questions. I know we're going to be overwhelming you with information today, so sit tight. We'll get back to questions. I think we'll save those for the end, just in the sake of time. So yeah, let me share my screen now.
Okay, I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, I'm going to be looking slightly to my left, which is where my second monitor is. So this is meant to show you, like I said, there's a lot going on right now. So we're trying to simplify and boil this down to one view of everything going on across Karura and Acala, and how that affects you as community members, as token holders, and so on. So we've completed Build Acala number 1, which was, like I said, an event for people contributing DOT to the Acala Treasury. We've also just completed here the Karura crowd loan and Parachain auction, and we've got the rocket emoji. We're currently riding the rocket as we're launching the network. We're right here, and we're about to start a couple things in the very near future. So up here, what these black boxes are meant to show is that these are events where the user, you as a community member, if you're contributing, I know many of you, almost all of you should know this, is that anything contributed to the crowd loan is locked and you retain ownership of that, and then you'll get that back. In the same fashion, if you begin using the Karura DEX, maybe taking out KUSD stablecoin loans, and then also using the liquid KSM staking, these are all ways where you can start earning KAR liquidity mining rewards once we initiate that program and the protocols are live. So that will be going on for people to incentivize and users and to bring more liquidity over to Karura, just help us get bootstrapped. In the same time frame, this isn't exactly finalized yet, and Betty will go into details around this event, but we will soon be kicking off Build Acala number 2, which we're calling Ready the Treasury, because the whole point of this event is not to raise DOT as a team or as a foundation. We're really trying to prepare this network for long-term self-sustainability. So we'll be hosting this event where the community will be contributing DOT, BTC, and other options that will all be converted to DOT and then put into the Acala Treasury for helping us really, first and foremost, bid for future Parachain slots after the first Acala slot expires. Then, of course, we all just went through the Karura crowd loan. We'll be doing the same type of process for Acala with the Acala crowd loan and Parachain auction. And then after that launches the liquidity program, we'll go live for Acala. So before Betty gets into the details around the next Build Acala event, I think it might help everyone to kind of set some context here with what the Acala Treasury is, what the goals of the Acala Treasury are, and where we believe this is heading in the future. And I will also be soon doing a video around the Karura Treasury, which is built almost the exact same way as the Acala Treasury, but it's centered more around KSM than DOT. So the Acala Treasury, what it is it's a reserve of digital tokens, and these can be native tokens, so that's ACA, or foreign tokens, which could include things like DOT. These tokens are all owned and governed by the community as a whole, and can be funded, this treasury can be funded in several ways. So first, protocol fees, so when people actually use the network, if you've used Uniswap or something like this in the Ethereum ecosystem, there's always that fee that's taken out when you're going to do the transaction. You'll see the same thing on Acala and Karura, and part of that fee is going in to actually fund the Acala Treasury itself with ACA. The other way that the Treasury can be funded is through community contribution events, which includes Build Acala #1, and then what Betty will go into is Build Acala Ready the Treasury. What all of these things are meant to do through the Acala Treasury is to enable us to become self-sustainable as a network, and also to enable a funding mechanism for future growth of the ecosystem. So when Acala launches on Polkadot, we will be able to bid for a slot that's up to 2 years. This is yet to be determined, but let's just say, for example, it's a 2-year slot. So after the 2 years, we will need to figure out how are we going to renew this slot on Polkadot so that we can maintain the network and stay live. There's really 3 ways that we can go about doing this. First is to host another crowd loan. So in 2 years, if we choose to do a 2-year slot, we would host another crowd loan and do it completely community-backed like we plan to do the first one. The second option is to self-fund. So from the Acala Treasury, with all the DOT that we have in there, we could actually choose to self-fund exclusively from the Treasury. And then the third option is what I have on the next slide, which is kind of a hybrid of these two, where we open up a crowd loan, we enable people to contribute DOT as the community members, but we can also self-fund to that crowd loan from our own Treasury. So I know this is a bit complex. So here's a breakdown of what I just mentioned. So here we have Acala winning the first slot with a community-backed crowd loan on Polkadot. And then after a set amount of time, in the example I gave, 2 years, this slot will expire, and we need to figure out how to renew the slot. So we can use a crowd loan, we can self-fund with the Treasury, or what we think might be the most likely for the first time we need to renew would be this hybrid approach where we contribute to our own crowd loan from the Acala Treasury. Then this will happen again. So this is what we mean by self-sustainability. Every 2 years, or every time our slot ends, we will need to figure out how to renew this slot. This is a problem and a challenge that not only we have to think about, every Parachain team on Polkadot and Kusama has to think about how to do this. We're being very proactive with our approach and thinking ahead to the point where we can actually have a fixed token supply of 1 billion ACA, where we don't have to print tokens just to be able to cover the cost of these future Parachain slots. We will have the Acala Treasury to enable us to be self-sustainable without needing to print extra tokens in our supply. So once we have this Acala Treasury built up, it can do many different things. I won't go into every one of these examples, but self-funding a Parachain slot is going to be our #1 priority when we begin. But then if you're aware of the Polkadot Treasury or the Kusama Treasury, we can begin to fund a lot of different things. For us, a DeFi-specific example would be for these protocols that we'll have, the DEX, think about all the different pairs that will be on our DEX. Those need to have liquidity behind them so that people can actually use the DEX. So we can actually do something that I've never seen before personally, where we use our own Treasury to fund and bootstrap the liquidity of our own DEX. Same thing goes for our stable coins, so getting our products off the ground. Then we can also go into things like funding educational content, events, network security, development like tools and maybe dashboards. So any future Acala Treasury proposal can be put up by any community member and then approved by the council. Approved by actually all the ACA token holders. The council can kind of oversee that, but won't be doing the voting. So I'll get through these slides on it very quickly just to wrap up, but here's the fees that can be coming from the network that I mentioned. Things like LDOT minting, stability fees from the stablecoin will all go into the Treasury. And then same thing goes for Build Acala events. We did Build Acala 1 where Bitcoin was all converted to DOT and put into the Acala Treasury. And then the event that Betty will get into right now will include 2 rounds where people can contribute a variety of different tokens, all converted to DOT and then put into the Acala Treasury. So this is just a summary of what the governance process will look like with the Treasury. Any ACA holder can put forward what we're calling an ATP or Acala Treasury proposal. The Acala Council can oversee this and can veto it if the council deems that it's not safe for the network. Then all ACA holders will vote, and then if passed, either ACA or DOT or whatever token is being distributed for that given ATP will be deployed from the Treasury. So just to make this real, this is my last section. Here's what it can actually look like in reality. So we will have a discourse forum for Acala where any ATP, the Acala Treasury proposal, will be put forward for an open community discussion. You may have seen teams like Compound who've done a great job with this, and we hope to kind of learn from them and mirror that kind of process. Polkadot's also doing a great job with people like Raul who are helping kind of steward this process. So what any ACA holder could do in this situation would be, let's have a discussion around deploying Polkadot Treasuries, deploying Acala Treasuries DOT to help us bid for the next Parachain slot auction, and they would be opening the discussion. Then if everyone agrees, yes, let's do this, this would be actually put on chain for a vote amongst the community. And then finally, if the community votes and agrees, yes, let's vote yes on this, then that whatever amount of DOT would be deployed to that crowd loan, and the DOT would come out of the Treasury to fulfill this ATP. So I know that was a lot of information. This is all being recorded, so everyone can always go back and rewatch Rutau's section. They can rewatch what I just said about the Treasury. And I'm going to pass it over to Betty to get into details around the Build Acala event.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. So let me share my screen. There we go. Is it coming up?
Not yet.
Not yet. One sec. Is it showing up now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, so let me walk you through funding the Acala Treasury. But I think before, oops, got to the wrong slides. Before we actually get started, just want to, kind of step back one step, go back to the slide to share a little bit of behind the scene, how we think about all of this, at the level that we are planning things. Because as a team, we think very long term. Some of you, been with us for the last 2 years. That's how long we've been in building Acala and Karura for. Is almost from day one, we have thought about the state, how the crowd loan can be run. We also thought about what happened to the second Parachain slot and then the third one. So we plan, a very long term until the point where we think that the chain can be self-sustaining and probably also solvent, and then can let it go for everyone to actually manage it together. So when you think such a long term, then it's very interesting thought experiment what happened, because you stop looking at things immediately in front of you. You start plan for things that will benefit the collective of network participants, right? So and then one of the things that we're trying to do here is to provide options, right? The reason why there's the red boxes for contribution to the Acala Treasury. There are also black boxes for crowd loan and also liquidity events, and there are probably other events that we may come up with in the future, is because our community is very diverse, right? And then in order for everyone who may have a different situation to be able to participate in Acala or Karura, not everyone would be able to suit it for crowd loan. I think if you are already a DOT holder or KSM holder or already part of this, Polkadot Kusama community, then crowd loan is probably a no-brainer to support in a way that's trustless, decentralized, and also you can retain your tokens, but more so to just bond to support the teams to launch, right?
Hey, Betty, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Your screen's black, so why don't I present the slides and you can just tell me when to go next?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep, sure.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm using Firefox.
Might be. Cool.
Okay, cool. So crowd loan will still be the main focus, right? Because that will be the majority of the token distribution will be through crowd loan. This is the same for Karura and also the same for Acala that's about to come. And then we will actually release more details regarding Acala's crowd loan in coming days. I saw some people asking what rewards and whether you need to unbound. So, just hold tight to your DOT, just keep them staking because the DOT staking is 28 days. So we wouldn't be able to, mess that up. So we'll have to wait for official announcement and then you can unbound then. But we'll share a bit more as we know more. So crowd loan besides, we've received many feedbacks from community. We've got people who never had a wallet in their entire life, and they just got into crypto and they stumble across Acala and become our community member, right? We also have folks that's outside of Polkadot and Kusama. Obviously, we welcome them into the community and share how Polkadot is different and how Acala doing things differently, and they also want to become the network owners or participants in Acala. And there are many people in different situations. They want to be network holders, but not in a way that crowd loan can support them. So that's one of the reasons why we come up with the event for Build Acala, because most important, the team doesn't actually need the funding, courtesy to all the VCs paying our salary. And so we don't need funding for the next year also for the development team. And how to solve that problem is the Build Acala event is being invented basically, because, we have basically as a team, we have no motivation of raising money for ourselves, but this we do it in a way so that it actually can be contributed, all the proceeds get contributed to the on-chain treasury, and then it ultimately benefit the entire network, for getting a slot ourselves so we can sustain perpetually. And then secondly, it's all controlled collectively by all the token holders and can continue to fund various different events on-chain trustlessly as well. And that's also a very cool concept that we can self-sustain and also bootstrap ourselves on-chain as well. So so I think that's enough backgrounds for that. So I kind of give reasons why Build Acala 1 is there. And then the way that the Build Acala event worked, if you didn't know there was a Build Acala event, this is how it works. Basically, as individuals, all the tokens are measured or denominated in DOT, but obviously it depends on what type of event you participate. You could either pay in DOT or other type of crypto assets, and then in return, you get ACA and KR tokens, and then all the DOT proceeds, if we receive in other currency, they will be converted into DOT, and then they will be contributed to the on-chain treasury as soon as Acala go live, right? So this is in a high level how it actually works. Next, I've kind of explained this already, based on all the feedback that we receive, and also we don't actually need funding ourselves, so it's better to actually contribute all the this proceeds on chain, so that we can actually trustlessly to sustain our Parachain slot and also bootstrap liquidity, as well as other stuff that Dan mentioned the Treasury can do. So this is some stats from Build Acala 1. One of the reasons why maybe many of you here haven't heard about it is we haven't told anyone, except for sending one email to our community that this might be happening. There's reason for this because Build Acala 1 is more perceived, well, at least for us, as a proof of concept because this whole thing is quite new. I don't think anyone in the industry has ever done this before, provide a way for a community to own part of the network via getting the network token, but the team doesn't actually get the funding, but directly donate everything on chain to the Treasury. So this concept is very, very new. So we don't know if this will be accepted or well received. So it's a very small amount of tokens. So about 1.6% of the ACA has been used for this experiment, and about I think 260K is about 0.26 dot has been kind of like raised for the Acala Treasury. But even so, through the event, we have 5,600 participants participated. If you compare, right, while there's no direct comparison with this type of event, but I guess you can compare with other type of, sale event. This is like more than 50%, well, close to 50% of the participation rate. So it's like fairly high. Everyone who's being verified participant, 1 and 2 are able to participate. But still, we've received a lot of feedback. If you go to the next slide, then those feedback are things like, everyone's put in their effort, but they haven't actually been able to participate. So we are doing something about it for Build Acala 2 to allow those people who verified in the Build Acala 1 event, but didn't get the chance to participate, to be able to participate. And then we've proved the concept in Build Acala 1. This is actually works because with all the sort of people involved, it actually as soon as we opened the event, it's gone almost as soon as it opened. So it kind of like gave us feedback. This is in high demand. And then after the event, a lot of people providing more feedback, mostly around, they couldn't participate. They think this is a very cool idea, but they're upset about they couldn't participate. So we heard all of that. So it's good. And then the second feedback we receive a lot is how we actually, identify this community member. Acala actually started about 2019. I guess August or September. And then since then, we've run, many testnet campaigns. We've involved a lot of people to help us to test our application. So we've also issued one NFT, also without telling anyone, and to all the people who's, helped us before 2020. Right, so it's called Acala Old Friend NFT. So these people, has been around for a long time, and then they actually did actual work because this is trackable on chain, which is a much better measurement than what we had before. So these people we've also identified as our community member that we are gonna cater for in the Build Acala event, which I will explain all the criteria follow on. And then the third sort of feedback or the goal that we have is engage wider community because, most of you here, you are already, very familiar with Polkadot, familiar with Kusama, Acala, Karura, and other Parachain projects, but we are within this little bubble and circle, right? And everyone knows there are bigger sort of community and people that are unaware of the community that we're building here and the cool tech that we're building here. So another goal that we set for ourselves is so that we can expand awareness to bring more people into the ecosystem. Then it will, of course, benefit Acala, but also I think it will have a overflow effect to the wider Polkadot community as well as other Parachain projects as well, so that they know what we are up to here. So yeah, so that's why we decided to actually do the Build Acala 2 that I'm about to unveil to you. And this is very simply how it will look. There's a registration process. which depends on how many registration we get, and it will actually stop at a certain point. And then we'll process it. And then there are 2 rounds basically that we're currently thinking. It's not happening tomorrow, so you can still give feedback, etc. But this is how we think about it. So we have round 1. This is community exclusive. So these are the what I mentioned. Based on the community feedback, we are gonna guarantee allocation for certain group of selected community members. I'll lay out the criteria in the next slide so you know exactly. And then the round 2 is more just to the public. So for this round 1, obviously you need to be verified, so you need to be KYC'd. And if you are also a Acala old friend NFT holder, then you have a guaranteed allocation. Or if you already verified in Build Acala 1, but you didn't get a chance to participate because I think Build Acala 1 gives everybody equal opportunity. But obviously, equal opportunity means some people get lucky, they get allocation, but some people didn't get to participate. But you still done the work. So we decided that in a community exclusive round, we're gonna also allow people who didn't manage to participate, can participate in Build Acala 2. The main thing for round 1 is based on the last time experience. We want to make it a very calm event, very zen event. So it's going to be 3 days, and you can join anytime because it's guaranteed. So you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night. You just join anytime that you become available. And then a lot of the details hasn't been finalized. We just finished a big launch, so we're gonna have some more details planned out as we go, and then we're gonna release it when we are ready. But everything is gonna be like last time, that is denominated in DOT, right? And then this round is only gonna be accepted in DOT. And obviously it's a community round, so it's gonna have a more favorable price, but also, it's a DOT direct contribution because all of those proceeds we can directly move on chain for us. So that's round 1. And then round 2 is very straightforward. It's just like any verified user, even you participated in round 1 or previous events, you can participate. But it's first come, first serve. And also there's a wide range of crypto then we are accepting so that we can, I guess, I don't mean suck, but I mean attract all the other crypto community members or non-crypto community members participate and then learn more about Acala and Polkadot and the wider community. So yeah. So next slide then. So that's the rounds. And obviously the registration will happen before this. And this is basically the KYC process. We will announce the date beforehand and also provide a bit more details on what are the required documents, but it's basic KYC. But at the same time, if it's applicable to you, like you are NFT old friend holder, there's also extra detail you need to provide us so we can verify ownership, etc. So that is registration. And then that kind of like concludes the presentation. So hopefully there's a lot more to look forward to, right? I know people are here for Karura celebration, and all of a sudden we're jumping to Acala. But you got to know that Acala, is going to be launched on Polkadot, which is the actual internet of blockchains. And then one role that Karura serve is the canary network, right? So everything we're trying out on Karura is a verification and also a good a solid test for everything that we're going to launch on Acala. So Karura, regardless how it's going to evolve, I think it's going to have its own community, maybe more creative focus, maybe have NFT music and whatever that's like serving the Kusama ecosystem. But it always will have one role, is the canary for Acala, so that everything we launch on Acala as the bank-grade DeFi products will have a place for it to test and verify. So yeah, I hope that kind of helps. I'll back to you, Dan.
Cool. So that's it for the presentations. We've got 10 minutes until the top of the hour. I think we've been going 49 minutes. So what we can do is maybe see how many questions we can cover in the next 10 or 15 minutes, and then probably wrap it up. So I'm just going to start from the top in the Ask a Question section. So will Karura and Acala have hardware wallet access such as Ledger? It's a common question we get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're definitely working on that, right? So there's a priority for us to enable the network first, and then the Ledger support will definitely coming. There's some special requirement needed to work with the integration with Ledger and a substrate-based network, because substrate-based network can always forklift upgrade. So there's some special consideration needed. But we are working very closely with Ledger developers to make sure this become a reality.
The next one is, once Acala launches, what is your strategy for continuing to build on both Acala and Karura? Will both receive equal attention, or will the team switch focus predominantly towards Acala?
Well, I think Betty already answered part of that in her previous talk. I think Betty can share more about. I think we all share the common idea of the Karura will always be the canary network of Acala, but I think they will develop into distinctive network once they become live. So Betty, would you like to share more, what do you think about how it might become and how we can support both network?
Yeah, so we literally just talked about this today as well, and also quite recently, because we're about to launch both mainnet, right? And once you launch mainnet, I think one thing you guys can expect is they're going to have their own life and their own community. Regardless where those are going, I think, as I mentioned, Karura is going to be the canary network. So everything that we are building is going to be verified on Karura first. So for example, I think someone mentioned in the chat, very well said, that we need to focus on stability and also security and making sure all the protocols are audited before we go to phase 3, and probably also mean on Acala. So a couple of things we're already doing. So we've already done actually 4 security audits, because we keep producing new code. So we've done 4 security audits, and we'll continue to fix stuff that coming back from the security audit report. And then the second thing we're doing is we have Ganglet network. Maybe someone can share their website if you know. So they audit folks like Compound, MakerDAO, and also help them to set parameters for all those risk parameters. So they've already helped us. So we work with them in the past 2 months, anticipating we're launching soon. So they already helped us to set initial parameter for Karura, right? As a test bed to see how things can get rolled out. So as an example, they will probably look at what collaterals will be available. In addition to KSM, of course, we're looking at potentially USDT. Right, StateMine is going to have USDT being minted, and then that could come to Acala as a collateral, and also be in the DEX as one of the for token pairs, right? So how do we set those parameters? What are the collateral ratios? What are the right interest rate, etc. So those are the things that we are working with these professional teams and also ourselves to actually be able to provide that. So. So I also see some comments for Tether and USDT. That's very interesting, because we actually had a discussion saying we should put up a discussion post so that we can actually debate about this issue, because you literally have a dilemma here, right? Because on one hand, there are some debate about centralized or central party minted stablecoin. Their sort of fitness for decentralized platform. I think that's one ideological discussion there. And the other thing is USDT and USDC, does provide a great liquidity, which is also lifeblood as well as usability for any of the DeFi platforms, right? So maybe the answer is not yes or no, right? So maybe the answer is not black and white. Maybe it's probably, but we have a cap, right? So that we don't have 100% is kind of like collateralized by centralized coins. But those are the things that I think it's worth a discussion in an open forum, so that people can vouch their ideas, and then we can also see what's fit for the network. And again, Karura is a place to try all of these ideas out to see if it works, and also serve our purposes, right? So, yeah. And I didn't answer the question how Karura might be different. So
yeah, I think, and the other question is that are we going to continue to support to build both Karura and Acala? And the answer is definitely yes. There's no question about that. It will be always serving as the canary network of Acala, right? So we hope it will evolve into its own distinctive network. It might have some wider experimental happening on Karura that might not happen on Acala. For example, there may be gamification or stuff like that. But we're definitely going to support both network in long term.
And both will have their own governance process. So if we're
definitely
talking about like riskier collaterals on Karura or different financial parameters with maybe like the risk tolerance that we're able to offer, that will be done through conversations and votes through governance, and not just something that can be like enacted.
Yeah, and I think we would like to share like this idea of like there's a Kusama network and there's a Polkadot network. Having a canary network to launch a high value mainnet is actually extremely beneficial for both the community and the team, right? We learn a lot of experience by executing the Kusama crowd and even if our idea sounds crazy, let's say that we roll out an idea on Canary Network, it might sound risky, it might sound crazy, but it might turn out to be working perfectly. And that is something that we can then later digest into the actual Acala mainnet. So having a Canary Network is extremely positive for both the community and the project.
This person's asking, will people with verified KYC accounts from the first Build Acala event be able to participate in the second? And the answer is yes. So that was one of the things Betty covered.
Yeah, and I think there's also what Betty covers. There's going to be like, because you participate in bid one, you get verified. There's also an exclusive guarantee for verified users to participate. There's actually a lot more improvement that we'll be working on with the actual subscription platform. So I mean, more information will be released. I think it's going to have a much better experience in this time.
This person, Victor, is thinking ahead. So they're asking, is there a ratio you can give between ACA and DOT in the Acala crowd loan?
Not yet.
I think there's just one answer, right? We want to make sure it's fair and it's widely distributed. And you can see we already did the distribution, the 19 plus KAR per KSM with larger amount of participation. That's the goal we're aiming towards, right? So we're working on that, and we will review information very soon.
So when will Acala and Karura enter the stock markets, and do you have any agreement with any stock market?
I think the answer is being answered by the community members.
No, but I think maybe in long term we should replace. I'll just not say the word replace. We will enter stock market in another way. But I think to make it clear, like this question would be maybe I think the question is more of like, hey, are we going to get listed or something like that? That's probably the idea of like asking this question. I think definitely there's gonna be there's many exchanges that will support us, and just stay tuned.
Can you maybe go into any detail around like KAR and the DEX and like the plans for that?
Yep. So I already share, we already share the launch plan for the network, the decentralized part. So the governance code will be executed and the DEX will be enabled, and then the KR can start to trade with KSM, with KUSD in a decentralized way when the KR become transferable. And there's other exchange that will definitely support and integrate with what we are building as well. You can see there's already exchange that we've been working with the PLO, with the crowd loan. There's already exchange that was officially support us. And because one thing is that we build a solid community sense to all the participants. With the solid community, I think it's more of like getting listed is actually beneficial for both exchange and the project. So yeah, That's actually not what we need to focus. It's a more of like we build a product, we create a community, and the listing will just come.
I want to clarify something for the Build Acala too. I see a lot of people having some confusions. So one of the reasons we do Build Acala 2 is because there are people in Build Acala 1 didn't get to participate. So for those who already participated, good on you. You should share the love with everybody else. But on the other side, there are people who's made the same effort but couldn't participate. Not because they did anything, just because that's how the system gets set up, right? So that, Build Acala 2 is so that these people can also participate, so they can be sort of the same, network owners as yourself. So have a bit of compassion. So this is for, people who didn't actually participate. But at the same time, Build Acala 2 also has a public round, and that is for anyone. Even you've participated in Build Acala 1 or any other rounds, you can participate in the public round. So hopefully that is going to make sure as much as the community member can be participated, but also we are welcoming more members into the community. So hopefully that explains things. So.
This question's good. It's around how will you try to attract DeFi projects to join Acala and Karura when you yourself are in the DeFi business? Which incentives will you give to other projects that will in fact be competing with you? So I think maybe I can start. One thing to understand about both Karura and Acala, if you've seen any of our past presentations, we've shown the diagram where Karura and Acala are both blockchain platforms. So applications can be built on top of these networks, but we've also built our own applications on our own blockchain. So the Karura dApps and the Acala dApps are applications that we've built to kind of showcase the blockchain that we've built. But just like we built apps on Karura, any other team can come in and build applications on Karura. So we don't see DeFi applications as our competitors. We see them as part of our building our family and building these networks that are building on top of both Acala and Karura. And that's ultimately what we built these for, is it's like a DeFi optimized version of a layer 1 chain like Ethereum. Imagine Ethereum calling Maker or Uniswap a competitor. They're not competitors. They're all working together in this whole ecosystem.
Yeah, so one thing I will add is like, you don't build a blockchain and claim you are DeFi, and then you pay developers and they will come and build on top of your platform. I think that has already been proven for all the other chains who's trying that route, right? So, 2 years ago, we chose the path for Substrate, Polkadot, and the way we build Acala as a specialized DeFi platform, because we see a couple of things that's very important to attract developer beyond just paying them, right? Because apparently someone's done research on in a hackathon, if you pay developer, they're going to produce the work that the money, the least amount of work with the least amount of quality that just passed the passing line. So that's probably not the best way to, I guess, motivate or empower people. The best way to empower people is probably like what Gavin Wood has done, is produce a great technological platform as well as the right economic sort of structure so that people want to come. So the two things I think we've done so far. One is the platform we've built is geared for DeFi, right? So developers come to Acala, they can actually build things they couldn't actually build, but very useful for DeFi in other platforms. And then along with that is we provide great liquidity. I think that is one of the missing from the surface is like, you've got the platform, then you can come and build. But no, a developer come to places where there are users, there are also transactions, there are liquidity, and there's also space for them to build next level applications that can create more value for their users, right? So this is highly, highly important for attracting developers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add one final thing to think about in long term or in a higher level, is that Acala is a specialized network, and that's the power or the beauty of Substrate. So let's say there's a project or there's some specialized projects they would like to deploy on Acala or on Karura, and they would like to have some special rules. And as long as the token holder see that this fit both the project and the network, all the rule can be made. A project can propose that, hey, I would like to deploy this large suite of application on Acala, and I would like to be the network token fee to be paid in their native token. Those proposals can actually go through the governance process and be approved. And those is in long term, like the power of a specialized network is able to view file and to fit each individual requirement of the application, the building on top of Acala or in Karura. That's like very different from like one rule to fit them all, as like many other platforms doing. So this is the power of specialization.
Great. So we're, I think, 5 minutes over the hour. So let's wrap it up here. I looked through the questions, and we have a lot of questions around the Build Acala event, KYC. So anyone who's asking questions about this, just know that we will be keeping everyone in close contact around timing, details, how to do things. We have guides already ready to go. So don't worry, we'll be explaining how to do every step of the way. For other questions around Karura, just keep an eye on this roadmap that I just sent here in the chat. So the Karura roadmap is going to be the main source of truth for following every step of this rollout. We won't be giving any dates or exact timelines, but like I said in the beginning, we're going to be working as hard as we can to get these things launched as soon as possible. So bookmark that, and then if you do want to keep up to date on any of the latest things with Karura, with Acala, with all these events that we just walked you through, subscribe to the newsletter that I also just pasted the link to. So thanks everyone for taking an hour out of your day to celebrate the Karura launch with us. We appreciate everyone's support, the 15 to 20,000 of you globally. It's been a fun week or a couple weeks for us, and I think for everyone else as well. So thanks for the time. Have a good morning or a good evening. I don't know if Betty or Rita, you want to say anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, I see a lot of questions being asked, and people are still asking questions. I think we have presented a lot of information today. I think maybe the next few days or week, we can have like an AMA just to answer people's questions and have a two-way communication. We can set it up. So
yeah, that's pretty much a good idea. Let's do that.
Awesome.